Welcome, everyone. This is me, Larry Fields, along with Stephen Dykman. We're going to be doing a little podcast
Hey, we're
weekly.
talking Swish.
Oh, yeah. Going to be talking
Swish.
everything Swish related. And not just Swish related.
Magic related,
Yeah.
really. But, just wanted to be kind of funny with our title there. So,
Oh, yeah.
there's quite a bit to talk about.
Oh, yeah. As you guys can see the title up on the screen, it's called Magic and Quarantine, the Fallout. With that being said, the reason I decided to come up with that name is because quarantine hit everybody out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hit Magic, too.
Oh, super has affected Magic. It's been, honestly, like a kind of just like a new age of Magic, really.
Like, for real. It's like next generation Magic.
Yeah, we went from people used to look at online lists a lot, and you would hear this from a lot of people, at least I would, they'd say, oh, well, that list is only doing well online right now, or, you should take those results with a grain of salt because it did well in an online event. Now that's all there are. There are only online events. Right. So if something's doing well online, you better believe it's good.
That's the Moto meta.
Yeah.
That's a term I used to hear all the time.
Absolutely.
I used to love the Moto meta.
And now
we are the Moto meta.
Yeah, it's the Moto meta, the arena meta, and then I guess like the tournament you played in's meta. But it's mostly just it's all online, and it's basically between two clients. It's either the Moto or the arena meta.
Yeah, arena. And I understand some people play like cockatrice and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But this is 2020. Get mana traders, guys. I'm just saying, there's no reason to at this point to just get mana traders or arena.
I played a lot of cockatrice in my
I
early
like that
days.
they don't do the rules and everything for you. I use X-Mage because it actually does all the interaction stuff for you.
Oh, sure, okay.
So a little bit better, and I literally only use X-Mage.
There's upside to having to do all the rules yourself in the sense that I think it keeps you kind of polished for like when you go to a paper tournament or whatever. Sometimes with arena and Moto, I think people might get a little lackadaisical on that kind of stuff. But I do agree. It's nice to not have to deal with that and not run into people who don't know the rules or whatever and argue with you. Those
argue with you. Or if you both think a rule runs a certain way and is actually not correct, you're actually giving yourself a negative testing experience because you think you're doing and you're practicing based off
there are definitely
unknown sources. I don't want to get too much into that, but just saying that's the best time to get them all. And like I said, we got hit out of nowhere. This wasn't something nobody was playing for. We weren't planning on being full digital right now. Yeah. And don't get wrong, don't be silly if you think that the paper Magic's dead. Paper Magic ain't going nowhere. It's just
I definitely don't think it's dead.
Think of it as a vacation.
Although I saw something on Twitter today about did you see the potential Channel Fireball dropping?
I saw that. I saw the rumors. We can get into that a little bit when we get into our more into the quarantine stuff. We'll talk into that. I actually had some things I wanted to say about that.
Kind of interesting for sure. Obviously, Paper Magic isn't dead by any means, but it's dead right now.
Yeah.
In the sense that we have to do everything digitally. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot we're going to be talking about. We'll be with for the next hour or whatnot, talking Magic. We're going to just jump right into it. I know a lot of shows like to do long introductions. We're not about that life. We just want to jump into the topics that people want to hear, or at least we want to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
You may not want to hear these topics, but you're already listening. You're locked in. But
well, at this point, I think if Magic is your thing, you've probably heard or thought about or been thinking about the upcoming banning announcement for standard and historic.
So the announcement says that come this Monday, there's going to be an announcement regarding the formats, bans, unbannings, doing nothing, whatever, for the standard and historic formats. In addition, they're going to be addressing, in some form, companions.
Yep.
That doesn't mean... So, rephrase that. They're not banning anything to their wording. They're not addressing Modern, Legacy, or Pioneer. However, they could be involved if they do adjust companions in some way. Because they said they are going to address. I think Wizards knows they have to do something about these. They're not, honestly, Yorion's the only one that's annoying in Standard, I guess you could say. Lursa actually isn't oppressive in Standard.
Not at the moment. And that is for sure. It's not oppressive at the moment. It was definitely oppressive when we played the first standard event in that Lotus Box event. We were both on a Loris deck, and most people who knew what was up at that event were playing a Loris deck. So it can be oppressive, but the thing is, Yorion just ended up being the better one right now.
Right. And we can talk about that for a second. I think Loris was only so good at the beginning because it was untested format.
Yeah.
And it was that shock you, punch you in the mouth week one style
the
deck.
Classic
Red aggressive. Back, yeah, it was aggressive.
Yeah.
Because we were playing Loris with like Dreadhorde Butchers, Robber of the Riches.
Fast.
We were straight up punch you in the face.
Yeah, fast red.
But that's week one formula. It's been working for as long as I've been playing Magic.
Years, and it's really funny to me. I always joke around with one of our teammates, James, about how, for so long he and I would usually not play a red deck on week one, and then the last few tournaments we've just said, screw it, we're just going to play the red deck because the red deck just does well early on. People never seem to respect the red deck week one or week two or whatever. Yep. They don't think it's good enough or whatever, and then you just play good red cards and people aren't ready and they just get wrecked.
And that was my thing. I used to be the kind that I had too much pride to play. I was like, I don't want to play the red deck. I want to play this deck.
Yeah.
Like, this is supposed to be the deck. Like, for example, what format was that? Ravnica Allegiance. Red deck, obviously the best deck to play.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, Nexus is the way because it's supposed to be the most busted deck. You know what Nexus loses to, my friend? Red deck.
Yeah, that's
and that, I learned that I actually didn't. I wasn't man enough to register Nexus. We tried Nexus. I ended up registering a straight up burn deck. And mine was like a black red burn deck. It was just straight up more burn spells. But
was that the format where Esper Hero was a pretty good deck too?
No, Esper Hero wasn't until War to Spark.
Okay.
Yeah, War to Spark. This is when Hydrocrest is released.
Yeah.
That's when Sotai. It was green black with the blue splash for the Crassus.
Sure. Okay.
Yep. And then the next month, War to Spark destroyed Magic. As people say,
Yeah. Depends on who you ask for sure.
Yeah. Now we're going to talk about some bands, and we'll start with the standard format. Then I have a little bit more knowledge on historic. Steven hasn't messed with it like super much, to be able to talk about bands. But I've had buddies do some of those Jeff Hoogland historic tournaments. And, I've had some insight on the competitive scene at least.
And I have experience in the sense that I play it with a buddy of mine. But
for sure
you'll know more about the meta game.
The competitive aspect. Because obviously they've had historic a long time.
Yeah.
So now they're going to be addressing something.
I've heard Winota is pretty nuts.
Yup, I'll talk about that because I played against it today, and we can actually talk about that deck.
The buddy I play with was literally telling me he hopes that card goes. So
we'll talk about that. I will tell you about that Winota. Like I said,
sure,
I'm excited to talk about that because I played it. No, I played it twice today, and both times I got bodied.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, I'll explain it a little bit because I didn't know what happened at first, and then I quickly tuned in and caught on.
Yep.
But let's talk about standard. So when it comes to bands in general, I'm going to be the first one to tell you. Bands are not good for standard format. They are the worst thing that you could possibly do. However, as I wrote in my article a few weeks ago, I wrote an article said, my opinion, why bands are bad for the game. My opinion does not change.
Yeah.
I hate that standard has to have a ban or have to be addressed.
Yep.
I understand it needs to, but that is not the solution. The problem is they're scaling the power level so high right now that bans have to be done, and it's going to hurt the long-term value of standard.
Yeah, it definitely. So I am definitely less in the camp of no bans than you are, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. Now, I agree, bans suck for the longevity of the game. It hurts a lot for players who need to have collections. Right now, obviously, you don't have to worry about that in paper, but for example, I am not building Winota, or I'm sorry, not Winota. I'm not building any variant of Luca on Arena this week, especially. I'm not going to spend like $50 or whatever because I haven't been keeping up that enough with my collection to just have access to that deck. And I'm not going to drop, like $50 or whatever on the chance that I'll win an event in the upcoming few days. And then on Monday, I realized that I can't even play the deck anymore. That'd just be like throwing money out the window. So I'm not going to do that. So it definitely sucks for the longevity. Now, I think that a ban is, it's hard. The format is pretty messed up right now. There are a lot of just really ridiculous power level things, but I think that speaks more to Wizards, the power level of the things that they're printing right now, just in card design. They're making mistakes in card design, and I think ultimately what's going to need to happen is they're just going to need to stop making these mistakes, or else this is just going to be a continuing process, which has kind of been a similar story for the past year or whatever in multiple formats. Just a lot of cards they just keep needing to axe, and it does suck for sure.
Now, with that being said, the biggest I'm going to go over an issue that I have with this. So let's get my opinion about no bans out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I have, you have your first Arena Cash tournament this weekend, and you're waiting until Monday to do the announcement. So everybody, which I don't agree with Jeff Hoagland's takes a lot because he has some off-the-wall takes sometimes. I get that. He's his own personality.
Yeah.
You can love him, you can hate him, but that's not the point. The point is, I agree with his take that how are you going to have your first cash tournament and have us playing a lame duck format? Lame duck meaning
the best of one.
Lame duck. No, the problem is because day 2 is best of 3.
Yeah, I know that.
So you're going to have us play a format, right, that is going to change
in a day.
Yeah. So you have us playing this stale, ran down, broken format for a day. Instead of just being and we're also doing LCQs this week, which is another problem. We're investing money into this bad format.
It'd be nice if they would just be like, you know what, this is what we're going to do.
Why not make the announcements ever? Let's say they're like, oh, well, let's ban this card. Boom, we're doing it today.
Yeah.
Why do we need to wait? Why do we need to wait the week? I get what you're doing. You don't want to do announcements in advance. That's fine. Then don't do announcements in advance.
I think initially they started doing the announcements in advance because didn't people just complain about...
My issue, they don't want to be locked in with a date.
Yeah.
But just don't do announcements is my opinion. So you said you don't want to be locked into a date to adjust the format. I get that.
Emergency bans are a thing. Were a thing. I don't know if they technically are now, but they were.
Yeah, I get that. They don't want to lock in a date, like I said. Then just do it. Be like, all right, let's hypothetically we're gonna just axe Yorion. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
That's not my prediction or anything. We'll get into that in a minute.
We'll
I'm just using an example. We think Yorion's not going to be healthy for the long-term game of Magic. It's going to be an Oko effect. So let's be like, today, Yorion's banned.
Mm-hmm.
We're done. We don't go, today, we're going to have an announcement in 10 days. What is that?
Yeah.
Why make us wait 10 days? If you know you got the announcement, you obviously have the announcement ready, just say it.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion on it.
That's fair.
I just don't think it's unnecessary to be extending the announcement for any reason.
Almost in some ways it's worse, right? Because the way they're doing it now, it's like you said, the lame duck format. You have to invest or think about investing or not investing into this format that is not going to be the same in a matter of days, and you have all these competitive events, and it's if you just did it right away, then that sucks. We have to adjust on the fly. But honestly, it's really no different than just a new standard. It's similar to a rotation or a new set coming into standard. And honestly, those are some really fun times to play Magic anyway, and are usually very skill intensive. And you see who can come up with the best deck for the weekend or whatever. So I mean, I definitely hear what you're saying.
Yeah, they got the format now where I'm I don't even want to play another LCQ this week.
Yeah.
Mainly because I feel like I'm wasting my time when they're changing the format probably on Monday.
Yeah.
So that's where I am about it. But since there is going to be an announcement, I'm give you. Let's have some opinions before we start to get into some analysis. My personal opinion is I don't think they should necessarily ban stuff, but I think unbanning a thing could be an option. Now, people may not agree with this. Beforehand, this was actually the bad boogeyman of the format. Well, one of them, I should say. But this card actually could be a saving grace tool now, and that's Veil of Summer.
Yeah, you've mentioned that before to me for sure. Now, I don't know if I've told you this, but I've certainly told other people this. I think Veil of Summer is one of the most offensive cards, in my opinion, that has almost ever existed. But that's my opinion. I'm pretty much I really enjoy playing black, so some of it's definitely opinionated. But I do agree to an extent. It would be interesting if that card came back in the sense that it shuts off the agent trigger, which is pretty cool.
That's like the big part of Standard right now is agent. Because in Standard, you have two decks, right?
Yeah.
You have Luca. We're putting Luca all together.
Yeah.
Luca all together. How does Luca beat you usually? Is they're outvaluing by taking your lands. They're putting you behind. They're putting you behind in so many resources because of agents, blinking agents. How good is Agent when he's just a 2/3 for 6, 7 mana?
Let's stop on the top. While we're talking about Agent of Treachery, I thought about this earlier when I was talking about how card design, mistakes they've been making in card design. What in the world were they thinking with Agent of Treachery having just a straight up ETB steal any permanent, which is really rare. That's like not a thing in Magic like ever.
I agree.
Like think about some of the most busted steal effects ever. Bribery, like stuff like that. Like you still can't. I guess bribery is a bad. I'm thinking of the treachery. So treachery is like one of the best steal effects ever, and it's still only it doesn't. I think it only takes creatures.
Yes.
If I'm pretty sure it's only creatures.
Creature or non-land. It's one of the two.
I'm pretty sure it's just creatures. The one that can hit. We could maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up, but
I'm pretty sure it's just creatures. But that's like one of the best steal effects like of all time. So you have Agent of Treachery, which already ETB super good. It doesn't go away. You just permanently take the thing forever. If it's a land, it just stays with you forever, which is absurd. And then they also tacked on the draw 3. The card is just unbelievable.
Exactly. Not to interrupt. Treachery is an enchant creature. When this enters the battlefield, untap up to 5 lands. You control enchanted creature for 5 mana. So this is one of the most busted. I've ran it against in EDH, but I haven't played in a while, so obviously I'm a little rusty on it. I used to play this in Mono Blue Nezahal in EDH.
Sure.
This card's really busted. It's one of the best effects. Agent of Treachery makes this look like a punk.
Yeah. Yeah, Agent, like I said, like that's just like a card design thing to me. Like
I agree.
You could have taken off. You could have taken off either steal any permanent and just made it non-land permanent, and it probably would have been. It might have been acceptable. You could definitely take off the just permanently steal it. If it left the battlefield and then they got the thing back, we wouldn't be having this discussion. The card might not even be playable.
Yeah, exactly. It might not be playable. And you know what the most messed up part about the Agent deck is? About Luca in general. Here's my other prediction. I told you what I want unbanned. Let me talk about what I would ban. You know what's so annoying about Agent? So, just so people understand how Luca works. The deck is based around you have a token, whether it being the 0/4 to 1/1, yada.
You play a 0 creature deck other than Agent of Treachery. It's the literal
you take
only
Luca,
creature in your main deck.
How Luca works is you target this creature and then sack it.
Yeah.
So that goes on the stack. Usually a lot of effects will be like the sacking is immediate, but they did do a good design on Luca.
Yeah, Luca's
a
reasonable.
Good design.
That card's whatever.
Now,
that's fine. That's definitely
here's the issue I have with it. The reason I have an issue with this deck so much is because the best way to do that, they designed Luca so well to be able to interact with it. We can destroy that creature in response.
And they have 3 mana.
There is a 3 mana Teferi that says screw you.
I mean, 3 mana Teferi has been ridiculous since.
Why don't we just get rid of it?
Yeah, I mean, that card is heinous. It shouldn't exist in any format. It completely warps it just completely warps games. Like it's just if it hits the board, and every game when you're playing like a Blue Mirror revolves around not letting your opponent resolve the Teferi, because if they do, you probably lose in a lot of spots. So, I agree. Teferi has been ridiculous since it came out. That could definitely be a card that goes.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to hit Teferi.
They could.
I just don't think there's a world where they can. I just think Teferi has to be hit because it what is the word? It takes the value of all these decks that could actually be good against Luca, and makes them into a joke.
Yeah,
like ideally, all your like red spells and stuff like that should be like
be able to break this combo.
Yes.
Like, you have a 1/1 token. I'm going to shock your 1/1 token on your turn.
And also, you already have Yorion, which is a super busted companion, and now Teferi says, I'm going to keep replaying it, and we're going to keep this cycle over and over, and it makes this deck so oppressive. And it's so and I've played many Luca mirrors. It literally feels like there's little skill involved in these mirror matches right now.
Yeah, for sure. The mirrors are definitely... And we've said that a few times about decks lately, is the mirrors feel less skill intensive than mirrors in previous standard formats.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably pretty accurate. It really just comes down to who has dispute when, and who resolves like Teferi when, and stuff like that a lot of the time. So I agree that they're not fun. They're not very fun to play at all, which is a lot of the reason people are calling for Yorion getting banned or whatever getting banned.
Right.
People
like I said, my prediction, as I said, I actually don't predict that they'll unban anything. I just don't think that's going to be a realistic.
I think it's very unlikely.
We actually had our teammate think they're going to unban Oko and make it into a companion, but kids, that's why you don't do drugs.
Yeah, that's probably...
Yeah.
Was he being serious?
I don't know, but
that may have been a joke.
But regardless, all jokes aside, my opinion, I think they're going to ban Teferi and Fires of Invention.
It's very possible. I think
those are my predictions for it. I think they might want to hit something for Loris decks.
It's very possible, yeah.
I don't know what, though. I can't really say.
So, they did allude to potentially changing the companion mechanic as a whole.
So maybe they won't touch companions in general and think about companions, but I do think they're going to know they have to address Luca, know this has to... My prediction, as of right now, Fires and Teferi is gone.
Fires and Teferi is definitely a good guess. If I were to guess, I suppose I would guess that they will ban Yorion as a companion and maybe would ban Fires. But they could and should ban Teferi. Do I think they will? I don't know. Obviously no one knows, but I don't think that would be at the top of my chopping block just because they haven't gotten rid of it yet, but who knows? They should get rid of it. It's ridiculous.
Which one?
Teferi.
Yeah. I think it's time. It's going to rotate, so it's not like it's hurting them long term.
Yeah.
It's time that we just get rid of it.
It'd be nice.
Static abilities should not be on Planeswalkers.
That was a mistake. As a design, that was a huge mistake. Nissa is ridiculous. Narset is pretty ridiculous. Teferi is ridiculous. So many of them are so stupid. Even the average ones, like Tibble, is still very good.
Ridiculous,
it's like a permanent skull crack that doesn't deal the damage in play, and
the 1/1s deal damage.
It's a very good card at uncommon. Static abilities don't belong on Planeswalkers, and I think that's been obvious since a few weeks after the set came out, and even when the set came out, people were kind of skeptical. Right. So,
and come on, Wizards, to ban Teferi, because literally we have the core set coming out, and that's a Teferi set. Yeah, it's going to have 3 Teferis in it.
Yeah,
it's going to have uncommon, rare, and mythic. It's doing what Chandra had at the last one.
Oh, did they
said that a while ago.
Oh my gosh.
So don't do this to us, Wizards.
we don't need
4 Teferis. And one of them, and the fucked up part, the 3-mana one might still be the best.
It almost certainly will be.
Yeah,
I would argue that the 3-mana one is potentially better than Hero of Dominaria.
Yeah, that's
in certain ways it is, and obviously in other ways it isn't, but it's just the way 5 mana Teferi did not warp the game itself. It was a really, really strong card, and if it resolved, a lot of times you would lose, but it did not just completely warp the format or the game, because 5 mana Teferi, I guess to say it didn't warp the format might be a little wrong, because 5 mana Teferi was very format defining, but 3 mana Teferi just completely changes how the game works in itself, and it's just ridiculous. It's insane,
Right.
and yeah, I would think that'd be a very, very reasonable banning. For
Just
sure.
saying, if you're playing Bant in that format or any like 3-color that isn't like Esper and stuff, you didn't have like jamming 4 big Teferis. I don't care if you have blue-white in your deck right now. There's 4 baby Teferis just chilling.
Yeah,
like
and
it don't matter.
Some lists did play 4 hero down area, but not all of them. It wasn't automatic. Like, yes, I'm playing 4.
It wasn't
sometimes
like,
you would go to 3.
Blue-white's in my deck.
4 of this
You're
5
in here.
mana card.
Am I a creature deck? This will be good. It's an honorary.
It's good in everything.
Honorary creature today, guys. Teferi, I choose you.
Yeah, like when I was building the I was brewing up this like Aether Vial, Urza, Flicker Wisp, Yorion deck in Modern, and at the end of the day, I was always asking myself, like, I'm not playing 3 mana Teferi, but I almost certainly should be. Like, I want to rebuy all these cards. Like, I don't care that I can't Aether Vial it in. It's still busted. Like,
every deck that you can play now. Well, if you're playing a Flicker Wisp deck, you probably should be playing Teferi because it's a blinking style deck. So you'll probably make it not like discrediting your deck in general to not play it anyways. But every deck now, if you play blue-white, you have to think, like, how can I make this fit? Or why am I not playing this card? It's just so busted.
Yeah.
Like, it's why Control has, like, not been a consistent deck for, like, the last year, is because the only deck that's actually been somewhat control-ish was Esper Hero.
Yeah.
And that's because it was a proactive control deck,
which
not
was
a reactive.
also a 4 Teferi deck.
Yes. No, that's not even true. It was more than 4 because we had the other Teferi with it.
Right, sure.
Wasn't it? I think it was a 6 because they usually did a 4-2 split.
Yeah, 4-3,
it was usually
4-2.
They usually did 4-2 and they played like 1 Lily in the deck, but that's regardless of the point. But still, it's just the fact that just axe Teferi. Just get them out of here. There's no reason to keep them alive anymore.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I don't realistically, and to talk about fires for a minute, I don't see a format not being busted.
That card is so broken.
With that card being legal.
The card is so broken. To be fair, so is Wilderness Reclamation, in my opinion. That's another really broken card, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Fires is so ridiculous. To be fair, Fires is definitely, it's funny. Fires was worse before we got Yorion. And before, like, without Teferi, it's definitely, like, a little bit worse. But that card is still very, very broken. Just the fact that, it's a 4-mana play that can potentially give you 10 mana's worth of value on the following turn, and then, like, 12 mana worth of value. And right now, with Yorion, it can give you, like, 18 mana's worth of value. It's just ridiculous. Like, it's so stupid how powerful it is.
The card is just so busted. And, for example, when Fires first came out, the Throne just released, I went to Philly for that team SCG event. I played the standard portion. I went X1 in my seat the first day. I top 8 the Classic the next day with ease.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I didn't die until I saw Simic Flash, and that wasn't happening. But regardless, like, I went through ease. Like, I played the Mirror because I didn't play the Cavalier version. I played the Wishwalkers version, and I just had like a good toolbox deck for the Week 1 format.
And for a while,
Fires is so busted. Like,
for a while we were and that matchup seemed favorable for the Fae version versus the Cavalier version.
Yeah, because Narset.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they were playing Blue Cavalier, and Blue Cavalier is a freaking joke.
Yeah, it doesn't do it. I mean, it's
like,
bad. Yeah.
It's just such a bad card against Narset.
Yeah.
But back on track, I think Fires go. And now that we talk about it, we do need a Narset. Wilderness Reclamation might need to go too, because actually without Teferi, Wilderness Rec has...
Without Teferi, without Fires, like, the aggro decks can obviously attack the Wilderness Reclamation deck, but at that point, the Wilderness Reclamation deck can just become more of like a small ball, like controller, more control-y style deck and just be better against the aggro decks. And that's never a great format when you have one like super messed up deck and then you have the most blistering fast aggro deck you can to combat that deck, and then just nothing else is viable.
Yeah.
That's not a good format. That's not healthy.
So I think if they get rid of Teferi, they actually got to get rid of Wreck, because Teferi is the one way to interact with Wreck.
They have a lot of things to think about. This format has been one of the most insanely powerful standard formats ever. Like, it is ridiculous. There are so many cards that are so powerful and unbelievably good. You know, we've named some of them. We haven't even talked about Nissa. We talked about Nissa briefly because it's a static walker. But that card is ridiculous, too. Mm-hmm. That is another card that, like, what on earth? Like, so good. So much advantage from that card. It's just sick. Witch's Oven and Cauldron Familiar. Insane. The power level of Witch's Oven and Cat is just ridiculous. That is so hard to interact with that combo and break it up and do anything about it. The way it synergizes with cards like Trail of Crumbs, the Mayhem Devil, it's just absurd. Like, there are just so many ridiculously powerful things going on in the standard that it is just... It is mind-boggling.
The list can go on for what needs to be addressed, because there's just so much power. They have creeped up the power level, and I don't mind that they creeped up the power level, but the level at which they went from like 0 to 100. That's how it feels right now.
And we, think about formats where people used to complain about Thragtusk. Thragtusk is a joke compared to the cards we're looking at now.
I was just saying.
You want to talk about Thragtusk versus a Nissa? Thragtusk, even if you kill the 3/3, you can't kill the Nissa with Thragtusk. It'll still have a loyalty. It isn't done. Like,
that loyalty is an insane amount. It's so bad messed up that we were joking around on what was
Price of Loyalty, or the Black Spell in the limited format that removes 5 counters and can't even kill the Nissa. That was
like,
always.
Let's look at that power level. I know it's banned now, but look at Oko, for example, right?
Yeah.
One of the best cards that should be on paper was Fry. That card didn't even kill Oko, and it was so funny because you'd be like, Fry, it's at 1 loyalty.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, what is your design team for standard? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm going to say this now. The design team should not be responsible for any format outside of standard.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe Unlimited to you. They could be focused on that, but I think the primary focus should be standard.
Yeah, make sure standard is a good format, an entry-level format that new players can get into. It's accessible. It's fun. It's playable. It gets people into Magic, because that's how I got into Magic, was playing standard. I think that's how most people get into Magic. And if it's so messed up that there's one clearly best deck that's and at that point the prices get bad and it's hard to pick up the deck. Now it's an 80 card deck, so you need 20 more cards to even play it anyway. It's just, the format needs to be fun. It needs to be accessible. And it needs to be good. What good means to you might be different than other people. At the end of the day, it needs to be fun, and it needs to be enjoyable for the majority of players who are going to play standard.
Right.
And when that's not the case, that's a huge problem. I feel like that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yep, I agree. And that's the biggest issue I have with, like, the list can go on.
Yeah.
We can say what we want, like, there's a million cards that need to be addressed, and that's just the state of the game right now.
Unfortunately, that's just where we're at, and hopefully when when things hopefully Wizards calms down with these new sets and gets Magic in a more reasonable position again. Because right now, this year of Magic is almost, in some ways, has almost felt like a different game, and it's with a lot of changes. We've talked about card design. We can also talk about game design. They've changed so many things. Like, for example, the new Mulligan rule was just a huge change to like how Magic works as a whole. The level of consistency and things like that, and how good combo decks are in Eternal formats, how good like ABC decks are, where like you're, by ABC I mean there are like 3 pieces to it. It's why I think I've played Boggles multiple times in my life.
Yep.
It's why this time I was able to top 8 with it. I don't think I didn't have a turn 1 Boggle when I wanted a turn 1 Boggle, more than maybe one time in
You don't have to.
in the whole tournament, because the new mulligan rule is just so consistent. It's so consistent. You're going to find what you need by the time you get to like 5 cards. But the thing is, these ABC decks are just looking to do very specific things. In Bottle's case, it's creature, lands, and then some auras that you can just mulligan, and you're just going to do your thing. And because your thing is so good in the format, or you expect it to be so good, you just get away with mulliganing a bunch. Because it doesn't matter, because your strategy is still going to do what it needs to do, just with a few less cards, but it still works out.
Yep, I agree. And like I said, it's just a crazy time.
And then obviously you bring in Companion, just like completely changes the fabric of the game too.
Took it over,
which is definitely I really they should do something about Companion, and we'll get to those.
We'll get those momentarily,
but
now
we stay on the game design.
I think we talked about Stan a little bit. Let's talk about some historic.
Yeah. So you can go ahead and kind of start and talk about the way the format looks, because I've played on ladder a little bit with my buddy Chad, but overall, I saw that a Winota deck won the Hooglin thing.
Yep.
But other than that, I don't know a ton. I know that Gruul was super good for a while before the new format, the new set came out. But that's really what I know. I know Gruul was pretty much the best. Field of the Dead decks were good, and I was out here brewing this cool white deck or whatever.
Right. No, for sure. So when it comes to historic, obviously we don't have big tournaments.
Yeah.
Outside of Jeff Hooglin.
Yeah.
We have to use that, and the ladder is the only things that we have. And ladder was gone for a long time. Keep that in mind. Like, we didn't have ladder.
Yeah, it's only been back for like a week or two or whatever.
Correct.
I think it's actually ladder's only been back for maybe a few days. Actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, probably.
I was just playing like the pickup, the events you can enter where you 5 win.
Yep.
And get a bunch of gold with Chad for a while. But now ladder's back, so he's trying to grind his way up ladder.
So I'm going to do a calculation just off top 16.
Sure.
Top 16.
Yeah, let's check it out.
So.
Oh my God.
16th place.
This is wild.
Let's look at this. Let's go down here. First place, Naya Winota. Second place, Naya Winota. 5th place, Naya Winota. 6th place, Naya Winota. 8th place, Naya Winota. 9th place, Naya Winota. 12th place. And 16th place.
50%. That's 50%.
50% top 16 was what Naya Winota.
Or top 16.
Okay, now let's look at
and top 8. Actually.
Let's look at Luca Fires for historic.
Good God.
Right?
Yeah.
So it took 7th place, 10th place, 11th place, 13th place, and 15th place. Oh. Combine those two.
That's 13, right?
Combine those two.
That's 13 of 16.
13 of 16 were 2 decks.
That's absurd, man.
There's a problem here.
Oh, there's a huge problem here.
So I'm going to talk to you guys about Naya Winota.
Yeah, because
since I have a little that. This is a Yumori deck.
Okay.
So for those at home that don't know what Yumori does, this is a companion that says, hey, you can't play anything but one specific card type. They're a creature deck. They're playing a bunch of creatures. All right? So they have 35 creatures in their deck.
Mm-hmm.
So they play 4 Llanowar just to explode.
Yep, be fast.
4 Winotas. Winota's the namesake.
Yep.
How Winota words is when a non-human attacks, you look at the top 7 cards of your library, and then you can put a human onto the battlefield from there, attacking with indestructible.
This is a deck that actually has gotten a little bit of attention in Standard, too. It's not quite good enough, I don't think, but it's definitely there.
Yep, for sure. And so we go down. It has the Winotas.
Yep.
So it's playing a bunch of cards. Like Llanowar swings, it can honestly make a body.
Okay, yep.
So you have Adanto Vanguards in the deck.
Yep.
Which are those considered humans? No, they're not. They're vampire soldiers.
So they get the trigger.
And they're so hard to kill.
Yeah,
because you keep giving them indestructible.
You have to dead weight them, or
exactly.
Dead weight might be one of the Allegiance, and very few cards deal with it.
They have cards like Legion War Boss.
Yeah.
How do they consistently have Winota, you ask? They have this card called Fauna Shaman.
Oh, buddy, I forgot that
Fauna Shaman.
I forgot that was legal.
Be like, oh, I drew another elf. I don't want this elf.
Yeah,
I want Winota.
I guess I'll go get my namesake.
Yep. They play cards like Phoenix of Ash. It's another haste creature. They got Bone Crush Giant because of how more words. It's a creature still, so it counts to the deck qualifications. Now let's look at some of these humans. I believe the humans that are in this deck.
Winota.
So we have Winota,
Haktos.
Right?
Yep.
Oh, let's not forget this. Let's refrain. We also have this little card. This is called Handgrass Marauder.
What does this do again? Doesn't this do something with treasures?
So, if a source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage.
I remember that. Was this in Ixalan?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember this being like a not very good rare and draft.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they play 1 Age of Treachery.
Okay.
And to my understanding, they can cast it, but it's very hard. They play 4 Ancient Zerg runs.
I forgot that card was legal.
Hands down,
holy moly,
great in this deck.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
when your deck's a creature deck, come to find out.
Yeah, it turns out the 5-color land is good in the creature deck. Yeah.
Mana bases, and then the sideboard they get like 2 mana Thalia. Forget that card's legal. Fire Prophecy, some Baffling Edge, Goblin Rune Blaster. Steven knows this card.
Oh yeah, the Rune Blaster is super annoying for the Field of the Dead deck.
Yep. Sure. We got one of Hushbringer. We got Saddles. We got another Agent. We got Knight of Autumn. The deck is so consistent.
Yeah.
I played against it multiple times today. Oh geez, I played Gruul aggro because Gruul, before anything, was the best deck. And I'm like, oh, this deck did well in the tournament, I heard. It took like 2nd or 3rd. It must be still good.
Yeah.
Wasn't I foolish? This deck does not even come close to the level of Naya Winota.
That makes sense.
And based on what I'm seeing there, I don't know what you hit. It's just so consistent.
Yeah, like I said, my buddy
actually have to just hit Winota.
Winota's another card. We didn't even mention that card about Standard. That's another one. What on earth? To be fair, but it's not just Agent of Treachery in this format. It's this other bomb that doubles all your damage.
Just everything it hits
Winota is just ridiculous. That card is so stupid. 7 cards when you attack with a non-creature? What?
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. Triggering off every one. We talked about game design stuff, card design stuff. That's a card design thing right there. Like, why on earth does it trigger for every separate one? If it triggered for one, it would make a little more sense. It's still
each one.
It's
so
still
Legion
dumb,
War Boss,
but it's a lot less dumb.
And that thing,
every token's just going to trigger and look at 7 cards. I'm sure there are times where this deck just sees their deck. They see their whole deck and put whatever creature they want into play.
Yeah. They're like, oh, I get to control.
Yeah.
I get to control your destiny.
I'm attacking with 5 creatures. I'm going to look at 35.
Yeah, it's just so crazy to me.
That's wild.
Like just the fact that card is nuts.
And it hits every. It's not like you only get one. You get a creature every single time off of every trigger.
Yep.
So how does that 7-drop work if you have multiple? Does it quadruple the damage and does it exponentially?
It's a static effect.
Okay, so it does not exponentially change how things go?
Yeah, so it doesn't like, it's kind of like how some, what's that one drop? Soulscar Mage.
Sure.
Where it doesn't do double, it just does a replacement. It's a static effect. No, replacement is the term I was looking for. Okay. But let's also look at the other boogeyman, on which people are telling me about this, and I didn't really look at the top results until this.
Yeah.
Jessica Luca probably needs to go.
What a surprise. This isn't a surprise at all.
But I don't know what you hit in Historic. It's a little bit different. This deck is doing the normal thing Standard does, but he gets to play like Karn Scion of Urza and Teferi Hero Dominaria in the decks. They get Search for his Canthus. They're playing a 1 of Nexus of Fate. By the way, just get rid of Nexus of Fate. Let's just get it out of here.
That card's not cool.
Like, don't get me wrong. Civic Nexus ain't good.
That's another card. I mean, it's a little longer than a year old, but oh my goodness, like, card doesn't come
just get it out of here.
What on earth? There's never been a card like that before, and there's a reason. It's just so stupid. Like, that card is just dumb, man. Like,
Wizards, it's your best time. Just ban Teferi in both Standard and Historic.
Yeah, the cards.
Let us interact.
The cards are honestly, they should maybe just get rid of it in everything. Like the card is egregious. It just changed Magic. Like as a game, it alters how it works. Like people joke around and say like, when both players have a Teferi in play, people joke, they're like, oh, we're playing Hearthstone now. And you are. There are no instants. No one can do anything at instant speed. It's everything on your turn, and that's it. And that's not at all how Magic is supposed to work or was designed. And it sucks. Like that's not good Magic. It's not. I don't think it's very healthy for the game. I think for new players, like static effects really suck. Like they get confusing. Like people can miss this stuff. Like yeah, it's just bad. Like just enough's enough. Get rid of the stupid stuff. Let's try and get things more healthy. And maybe it looks like Winota might need to go too in historic.
Yeah, I think they just hit him. If I was going to make a call, I think it still has to be Teferi for both formats.
I would like that.
I think it should be Teferi both formats, Fires for Standard and Winota.
Yeah, that'd be good. And then, so I think that probably wraps it up with our band talk.
Let's talk about companions.
That's exactly where I wanted to go next.
So companions, what my take on companions, try to stabilize them. I think you honestly should start with one less card in your hand. If you have a companion, you're at such an advantage because you get that extra card. I think you should automatically be on a mulligan at the beginning of the game. So you still look at 7, but you have to put one back at the beginning. Okay. I think you should have to, or maybe you just always just have 6 cards in your hand, and you just have to, and that's just like because the power levels creep that much high because of companion.
The power level is so high that I actually think I would be more on board with you do not get to see 7 and you just have to look at 6, like you're automatically, because I think the London Mulligan is just so powerful that I still think, even if you did that, I think the companion decks are still probably going to be favored because the companions are so powerful and generate so much value on their own that you really need to try and hurt their consistency. So I think I would rather see the second option there. Yeah, but either way, You told me that idea like a week or so ago, and I think that's a pretty interesting idea. That might be a good change. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but I do really kind of like the sounds of that. So I certainly like it more than them just saying companion is completely gone, because I do think there's some there's a little bit more like exploring or whatever to do with the mechanic, but yeah, as it is right now, it's super busted, and they should definitely alter it in some way.
I agree, and there's a chance that they just say we're going to just wipe our hands clean of companions.
And they could, and they definitely could.
I honestly, as we stand here, I would not shock for that announcement to eventually happen.
Oh yeah, I agree that could definitely happen.
Not saying it's going to happen right now, but I could see it actually happening where they're like, we just have to get off of this.
So it's the companion mechanic is obviously super powerful, but they also just pushed the companions so hard.
Yeah, they did.
So hard. Like, so, I'm a little biased. I like Yorion a lot, but that's because one of my favorite cards ever is Flicker Wisp. And Yorion is just like 20 times better. Maybe just so much better than Flicker Wisp, but it still does like a similar thing, like a kind of a fun, like value-centric thing. But it is just so much better. It is unbelievable. And the fact that you just get to have this every single game at your disposal and just know that it's going to be there on turn 5. I've talked about this before when I wrote my tournament summary about the Lotus Box Pioneer event. Yorion for 5 mana as a 4/5 flyer when it blinks nothing is still serviceable.
Yeah,
I would keep many 8-card hands in many decks that just gave me a 4/5 flyer on turn 5. Like I just know I have it. It's there. Boom. I've got a 4/5 flyer for 5. The companion mechanic makes makes things just so absurd. Like it changes the mulligan procedures a ton. All of a sudden, four landers in like Lurrus aggro decks are very solid.
Yeah.
Because it's like keeping a three lander was before, because you have these four spells, and the thing is, Lurrus is probably going to get one of your aggressive cards back and 2-for-1 your opponent anyway. So you're going to keep the four-lander like every time, whereas before, like aggro decks keeping a four-lander is like so dangerous, because if you draw that fifth land, if you draw the sixth land, you're just dead usually. The fifth land is usually a death sentence, but six, you're like done. Now you can draw like 6 lands, maybe even 7 lands with these aggro decks, and you still have the reach because you had this 8th card, and it 2-for-1 them. And and then we get to Yorion. Yorion's a similar way. Yorion, at its worst, is a 4 or 5 flyer, but generally it's going to give you at least some amount of value, whether it's drawing cards, getting tokens in play.
I don't care. I could be flashing back Omen of the Dead with no target, and I did something like
it's just it's so warping and just changes the game so much. Yeah, I mean it's very possible that they will just get rid of it entirely. I enjoy personally playing with Yorion just because I'm biased, but I totally. And the thing is, like, I will still just play Yorion in decks. Like, you don't even need it as your companion. The card is still good. I will still try to play this card in decks.
I agree.
And I'm sure other people will too.
Yep.
Because I doubt they will axe it as a card entirely. They might just say no more.
Now the problem, the only thing is, like, they banned Lurrus and Legacy altogether because of the confusion of banning it from companion to regular.
Oh, really? I didn't.
So that could be an issue. Like
that sucks. Okay.
Because if that is the case, they should go back. Because I think Legacy Lurrus is fine as a card.
I agree.
But that's too bad they banned it all together.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they banned it all together because of the confusion aspect, and I don't think that was a good approach on it at all.
Yeah, that's annoying. I really Wizards just a lot of the time, and don't get me wrong, Wizards is great. They've created one of the best games of all time, and we're gonna sit here and criticize, or I get they didn't create the game, but they make it possible for us to play it competitively and do all these other things. So
we'll be getting into that part too. We'll be getting more into the competitive stuff.
But the thing is, like, just come on, man. Like, it wouldn't hurt to try new things. Like, they always have like this like excuse for like why they do things the way they do, and it's just like I don't really get it. Like, it's okay to just say that a mechanic is like not allowed anymore. Like for example, I used to feel this way a lot about Phyrexian mana. Like, they've admitted this sucks, this was a mistake, we shouldn't have done this. So if you say that, just get rid of it. Just say you can't use it anymore in Modern. Like, why is that hard? Like, you've already admitted it sucks and it's a mistake. Just get rid of it. Same thing, they said it with Storm too. If you feel that way and you feel like you screwed up and should have never done it, just get rid of it. As a mechanic, it's okay. Like, you can do that. I feel like they restrict themselves on what they do, and it's really weird to me. I don't get it. But
yeah, they do stuff like that, and it's wild. Like, all I know is
like, if you're gonna admit you made an egregious mistake, then just get rid of it. Like, it's not that bad or hard to me.
I know. I'm looking forward to next week. We might record the next one on Monday when the announcement first comes out. Like, just let it be fresh. We can go over and we can do our first initial thoughts on it and our predictions about the post bans once the announcement's made.
Yeah, we can talk about maybe decks that will play in the.
Yeah, I think we'll do that Monday. Monday will be our next recording. It should be a good time. Let's transition out of the ban talk. Let's talk about quarantine and Magic in general.
Yes.
So just to give a little recap, for those that don't know, there's been a virus. I don't know.
I think unless you've been living,
literally under a rock.
It'd have to be more than under a rock. It'd probably have to be like in a freaking like nuclear fallout shelter. You have no idea what year it. I mean, just yeah. So obviously, Magic has changed in the sense that we're not gathering anymore. There's no more gathering right now.
Nope.
We're gathering online.
Yep.
Which is different.
Definitely not the same.
Yeah, definitely not the same. I'm going to be honest with you. I in a lot of ways, have kind of liked playing a lot of online Magic as opposed to paper Magic. And I know that's not a very popular opinion, but there are a lot of things that I kind of think are cool about it.
Yeah. So when it comes to quarantine Magic, I'll give you my take on it. There's pros and cons of just as any other scenario.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The pros, we get to sit at home. We get to play Magic in our boxers if we want.
Yeah.
I've played plenty of Magic in my boxers since this quarantine started. Yeah, I can't leave home and play Magic. What's the point of playing my pants on? But
yeah, for sure.
But all jokes aside, it's been nice. Now here's the cons. I've played a lot. Excuse me. A lot of tournaments. I've lost a lot of matches due to the arena client. Not
for sure.
It's still it's a new program. I get that. But getting disconnected and losing without having a fair chance to fight is very disheartening to do Magic tournaments online sometimes. Yep. Especially they were big tournaments that it happened to me in. Yep. I lost a round, for example. It was one of the weekly championship qualifiers. I had my opponent beat. He was on Reclamation. I was on, I think Fires, so I didn't time for him. But I had the match won, and I disconnected. And then I ended up losing game 3. So I lost. A situation would never have happened in paper.
I got a little more lucky with the story that I'm going to bring up, but something kind of similar to that happened in the first Lotus Box event, the standard one. In round 1, I'm playing against like this control deck, and game 2, he gets me with Archon of Sun's Grace because he boarded in Archons of Sun's Grace, and I didn't have the gumption to bring in my Heartless Axe like I should have done. But he got me with a game 2, and game 3 I was going to board in my Heartless Axe. The client wasn't working properly, and I couldn't sideboard. I could not sideboard. So I didn't get to sideboard for game 3. But I was bailed out by this because my opponent DC'd on turn 2 and just didn't play a third land and did nothing against my red-black Lurrus aggro deck. And they ended up having the Archon on turn 4, which I had no removal for in my deck, but it didn't matter because they were turned behind on the draw and just died.
Yep.
I was able to literally just attack through the Archon and kill him. Yeah, obviously, online Magic definitely has its flaws. But there are definitely, I think, some real positives to it as well. Some of the more obvious positives, or at least I think they're pretty obvious, is I think that online regulation of what players are doing is just always there, in the sense that, I guess not always there. You can always have multiple people at a computer screen helping each other or whatever, but that's not blatant cheating or manipulating or doing stuff like that. And I think obviously, I mean, in paper that definitely happens sometimes, and it sucks.
Yep, it's
people scumbag other people. People do things they shouldn't, and online you can't do it.
Well,
you can't do it.
I thought that you couldn't cheat online until recently. A lot of events has happened recently where cheating online has been. If you're going to cheat at Magic,
you're talking about Moto. You're talking about Moto.
Just in online Magic in general.
Sure.
We're just gonna talk about online Magic in general.
Okay.
So, the biggest issue I have is one, we have a lot of good players. That's gonna happen with the online PT. Is there's gonna be a lot of disadvantages for players in the online Pro Tour.
Sure.
Or Players Tour, to be correct. There's going to be a lot of Discord sessions. There's going to be a lot of groups together playing Magic, and giving everybody else playing against those people are going to be at such a disadvantage that you could never do in paper. Because not only, let's say we have a Platinum player, right? A former Platinum player, since that's not even a level anymore.
Yeah.
Well, they were a Platinum player. And their buddy ain't in the PT, but they're there, so they're going to be assisting them. So now you got 2 Platinum players you're playing against.
Yeah.
Well, when one Platinum player doesn't see a line because we're all human, the other one catches and be like, "Oh, do that." Now they're able to play damn near 100% to your ability.
That's fair.
And that's the issue I have with online Magic.
For sure.
And that's always going to be a thing. We have players, it's very known that some of the top SCG teams do it. I'm not going to name drop. I'm not going to name drop names. And there's a lot of known SCG grinders and stuff that have rumors for it.
Let's not even
just rumors.
Let's not even put it on SCG specifically. Let's just say Magic players.
Sure,
there are Magic players.
Because it goes out. My next thing is going to be it's been known for the Pro Tour scene.
Oh yeah,
it's been known for every scene.
It happens. It's unfortunate. It sucks.
Yep.
But people, there are people out there that don't want to actually play the game. They want to take advantage of a system and exploit other human beings, and so that's
Yep.
what they try and do.
And like I said, online, and then we have modal bugs, which that's going to happen, and I accept that. But recently, last week, when people are taking advantage of a modal bug and just to take monetary gains, they want to use the excuse, we're stealing from Wizards. No, you're not. Wizards ain't losing anything off of this.
Yeah.
What you're doing, you're stealing from the other player.
Yeah, you're stealing from fellow Magic players, which sucks.
You're stealing from. You want to be, and a lot of players they're like, oh, we're against capitalism or whatever. They're like, how is that a thing when you're stealing from a player? That's like we're both homeless, and to get back at the government, I'm going to steal from you.
Yeah, it sounds like you're pretty for capitalism if you're just trying to take people's money.
Yes, that's
anyway. We won't get into a politics conversation.
It ain't politics. I'm just using the example of what I read from when people were trying to defend it, and that just doesn't make sense.
I mean, people are going to try and cover themselves however they can.
That's
a pretty poor.
I personally think if you support taking advantage of modal bugs, then you can't. Then you honestly shouldn't be mad about people cheating in paper Magic because it's the same thing in my opinion. Cheating comes in all forms. I don't care. Sizes, shapes, colors, whatever. Cheating is cheating. I think I've always been a firm believer that I think cheating should be at least a minimum 1 year ban upon first caught.
I think you should just be done personally, but that's my opinion. That's all. I think if you cheat, you're done. You don't play Magic anymore. But
there's
that's
the
how
problem is there's so many qualifications because you can cheat accidentally compared to intentionally.
I'm talking about blatant.
Yeah.
I know I'm cheating. I know I'm doing something wrong. I'm
That's
manipulating my deck or doing something that is sleight of hand or whatever. And if you're doing that, you don't play Magic anymore. You're done.
Yeah.
You should not play Magic. I don't want you playing Magic. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're just going to hurt the game for everyone else. And then the problem I have with is Wizards punishes acts that aren't cheating, but doesn't punish acts of cheating.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue. And we're going to be getting to that because, for most people know, Austin Bursavich got banned.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about that in a momentarily, but we're going to finish talking about quarantine stuff.
Yeah.
Back to the thing. Right now, we're stuck with online Magic. We're going to be stuck with online Magic for a while. I get that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about when paper returns. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this in the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I have finished last year when I started grinding Magic. I finished in the top 3 of the Planeswalker points in the state.
Yeah.
This year, I was first by a large margin over James Johnson.
Second.
Just wanted to make sure y'all know by a large margin.
It's another teammate of ours, in case you don't know.
But
Jace Hoodie guy.
Yeah, Jace Hoodie guy. He's not very good. But realistically, I finished in the top 10 in the world in Planeswalker points because I play a hell of a lot of Magic.
Yeah.
I go on the road every weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I've stayed in states for multiple weeks just because there was another tournament in that state. So I was like, I might as well stay here. Now, we fast forward. I've been really thinking, I'm probably not going to be on that kind of grind anymore.
Well, here's the thing. Like, people are always going to complain about situations. People are always going to be upset about things. Like, yes, there are components of this that really, really suck. Do you miss your friends and hanging out with people and, the paper Magic scene and, like, getting to be on camera and things like that? Yeah, like, it sucks losing that and losing the camaraderie of it. But at the end of the day, this, me personally and what you were getting at there, like, this has saved me a ton of money. Just hanging out at home all the time, playing on my computer, very stress-free, like more stress-free than going to a paper tournament for sure. They're definitely positives, and I think a lot of people need to focus more on the positives of this situation than the negatives, because I think there's a lot of people out there mainly focusing on the negatives, but there are a lot of pretty good things about this. I love that right now we can just go on and play like qualifying events like whenever we want, pretty much like 3 or 4 times a day. I can hop online and play a PTQ or a weekend qualifier or whatever is available. They have like 4 times a day. I think that's sweet. I like being able to just hop on and be able to play these tournaments, or like the Lotus Box tournament. Like, all you have to do is just like be a Patreon with them, and it's $5 a month or whatever,
right.
And then you just hop on and you can play these like They're not like huge cash prizes, but what do you expect? Like they can't be. No one has a plethora of money right now. Like, you got to take what you get. They're really competitive. Like, what are they? They're 1Ks, competitive 1Ks, 2Ks, whatever they are. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a nearly free Magic tournament. All of them, like not the PTQs and stuff. You have to like pay like $10 or whatever for those. But I mean, they're cheap, they're accessible, and honestly, I mean, they're just nice to have. Like I think they're cool, but that's my opinion.
The issue that I'm having with online Magic, especially in this quarantine, is we need to answer that other elephant in the room, and that's CFB might not be doing tournaments going forward.
Yeah.
There is a rumor circulating online right now. We're not saying it's fact,
Yeah.
but there's a rumor that CFB and Wizards aren't renewing their contract. If that is said, then there won't be a current provider for these online tournaments.
Yeah.
All the online tournaments right now are ran by Channel Fireball.
Yeah, so
Wizards don't do none of this.
Yeah,
they run the Pro Tour. They do all of that.
Yeah, it's really
that's questionable.
Yeah, that's concerning.
Like we're gonna lose a whole market of tournaments.
And no more GPs too, right? Because aren't they?
Yeah, they run the GPs, and that leaves a question for all of us that did those weekly championships qualifiers. We got vouchers for free drafts. What are they gonna do about those? Like,
that's gonna be
really a lot of money value right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I know I got like 7. Like.
Yeah, I mean,
are they just gonna go up and smoke like they're nothing? Like
I have no idea.
I'm not really worried about the drafts and per se. I'm more worried about what's the tournament structure.
Yeah, what's the future?
That's what I care about.
Competitive Magic,
yeah,
like as a whole. Yeah,
and that's the answers I can't possess, but obviously.
I would imagine, and this is obviously this is a more positive outlook. I'm typically a more positive person than a negative person, but I would imagine that Wizards would try and find someone else to provide it. Maybe Star City would take over the
Yeah, but my question is, they haven't done anything. Like, why are they so silent right now? They're the ones I would imagine would have stepped up by now.
Yeah, that is a little weird, for sure.
It's so weird to Star City. Like, are they just okay, just losing money? I don't understand.
Like, I don't know. Maybe they don't think it'd be profitable.
Star City, they need to step up because this is the best time to step up and take advantage of a market.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting for sure. So.
But let's the last thing I wanted to talk about before, and that is the Austin Bursavich situation. Steven, do you know much about it?
So I know a little bit about it. I know the individual had a little bit of beef with a buddy of ours at the last PT. I know, so I don't know him other than that as a person or an individual. I know about the situation briefly because of scrolling through Twitter and then obviously talking to you last night about it a little bit. But other than that, I don't have a ton of information on the topic. So why don't you kind of just run it down for us?
So just to give us a little summarization of it. So Austin Bursavich was given some information from an MPL member regarding the upcoming Players Tour finals or whatever that they're doing online. They have given the MPO and Rivals members this information multiple weeks before they gave regular players. Austin Bursavich got the information from the MPO member, and I was like, hey, everybody should be on the same playing field. I'm going to let everybody else know.
Yeah.
Not just whoever the MPO decides to tell.
Yeah, it seems super reasonable to me.
So everybody can make plans, start getting doing
fair.
other stuff.
That's fair.
Because they were doing like large money cuts from the tournament, so forth. Yeah. Not here to discuss any of that. I know that's a big hot topic, but that's not where I need to be touching right now. So he did this. Wizards messaged him and asked him about it. Like, how did you get that information? And he's like, I don't really want to throw anybody under the bus, yada, yada. They sent him a message in response to that. It was like, hello, Austin. I'm reaching out. And they said they were only doing it for a survey.
Yeah.
Keep in mind. Just so they know how to protect this. They were like, hello. I am reaching out on behalf of Wizards of the Coast. You have been recently posted confidential information related to Magic the Gathering on your Twitter account. This information is yet ready for the public announcement. Early release and complete information could create a poor experience for our players. As such, we would appreciate your help in learning how you obtain this information so we can prevent future leaks of this kind. That's the message they sent him.
Okay.
That doesn't sound like an investigation to me. That's just them asking a general question.
Yeah, it sounds like they're kind of lying to him if he's actually under investigation.
Then here was their response to it. Thank you for providing your thoughts and concerns regarding Magic organized play. Your statement will be sent to the appropriate teams per your request. Your failure to cooperate with our investigation has resulted in your immediate suspension from the DCI, which is an imaginary thing because that expired today.
Yeah.
MTGO and Magic Arena. These accounts have all been suspended until further notice. During this time, you may not participate in any Magic player as a player, organizer, volunteer, or staff. Any invitations to premier events you may have had or obtained during your suspension are now revoked. If you would like to appeal, yada yada. All right. So,
Yikes.
with that being said,
Yikes. That's all I have to say.
that is the most unprofessional decision because, one, I have seen people do way worse and get nothing done to them.
Yeah, like I said, regardless of what
he had at the PT.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not even in the discussion.
No, that has nothing to do with the fact that this is super messed up.
This is.
I don't get that. I don't understand what Wizards is doing there,
and
I'm very confused by it. And that's kind of a concerning. It's really a concerning if those messages are accurate. If all those messages are accurate, that's super concerning. Very, very unclear on their part as to what was really going on. It seems like they're kind of lying to him and not being honest with the situation at hand. And just I don't get why someone would be banned entirely for that either, especially because it seems like what he was doing was trying to promote a fair and balanced playing field. But I mean, Wizards, I'm sure has their reasons or whatever, but that's kind of.
See, I don't even think that's the case. I think the reason, they have their reasons whether they're good or bad. Obviously.
I'm not here to bash Wizards or whatever.
I'm not bashing nobody.
I definitely think
but I do think Wizards needs to actually open their ears and see the roar that's on Twitter and on social media right now. A lot of players are disheartened over this because it's shown that that's actually kind of biased on the decision that they made, that giving MPL and rival members information like that so far in advance.
Yeah, that's not fair.
That's such an unfair advantage. I won't. It's probably not supposed to be considered cheating, but I think it is cheating in a way because you gave an unfair advantage to players. How is that fair? Like, you don't have any structure to become part of those, really. You say you do, but you really don't.
Yeah.
Like, you have players on Rivals, for example, that don't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not in the conversation for that, but just in general, there's way better players than the ones that are in Rivals that hardly even get looked at. Like, hell.
Yeah, they're definitely, there are a lot of very, very, very good Magic players.
I'm not saying they're bad players. This ain't that they're bad players.
No,
but are they players that should be in Rivals? Not all of them are. Like, a lot of those players that are on Rivals are not good enough to be where they're compared to other players.
Yeah,
and that's my thing. You're giving these players unfair advantages to other players.
So,
and that's the issue I have with it.
Players on Rivals, whatever. I'm not gonna. I think the players that are on Rivals are there for whatever reason. We won't call them out specifically.
I'm not calling any of them out specifically. Yeah. I'm just talking about them and MPO in general are getting this unfair advantage. That's
the unfair advantage is crap for sure. There are definitely a lot of very good players in the world who do not get attention that should get attention, and it's ridiculous that Wizards would give anyone an advantage. Period. Whether it's Rivals, anyone, any random Magic player, if someone had more advantage than someone else, that's ridiculous and shouldn't be a thing. So, that's a really, really crappy situation for sure.
It really is.
And I definitely understand why people are.
Yeah, it's a big uproar because they're going to ban, and they didn't give a timestamp on how long the ban was, which is the wildest thing. Because what was the wording on that exactly?
Until further notice.
Yeah. What ban is that? Like,
Yeah.
every ban I've seen has a
time.
date.
Yeah.
Until further notice is silly. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I definitely
even
think they could have handled that better. And
Seth Manfield, very known player. I don't know if you've heard of Seth Manfield.
Yeah, I've played against Seth.
Here was his tweet in response to it. He said, verbatim, banning someone for not breaking any stated rule is not okay. I hope I'm missing some piece of information here.
Right.
And he obviously wasn't.
That's how I feel too. Like, I hope that maybe the emails that are being sent or whatever are posted, maybe we're not getting the whole story. But if this is the whole story, wow. I mean, I don't even know really what to say. Like, it just sucks. Like, it's not, like you said, it's not okay. I agree, it's not okay. It sucks. And hopefully they do something to rectify this, because they, if you do stuff like this, you're going to lose player base. Like, people will just say, screw this game, I'm not going to play it anymore. I don't want to be involved with a company that does this to their players.
I agree. They're going to need to address this. I think it's not a good ban decision. Like, it's going to be hard for me to even think for a second that it's going to be a good ban. But we won't spend too much more time on that. All we know is it was a bad call. Hope Wizards can step up, address it, find a way to make this better. I think they should unban him before the PT and try to save face.
Yeah.
Wizards, you got to do the right thing. There's no question about that. But that's enough about that. We covered that. We don't want to get too deep, but we have to address it. Like, that's a very big topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at this point, we've already been on for almost 2 hours. So
no, it's not. It's only been a little over an hour on this podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's only been a little over an
hour. Okay, that's fair. Either way, we gotta pull it to a close here pretty soon. So
update the Swish Gaming for. As you know, me and Steven both on the Swish Gaming over here in the west side of Michigan.
Yep.
We do got our website nice and launched. We got a new design, a better look. We got some good feels. We got some deck lists posted on there. We got some good features along with our articles. Me and Steven have both written articles for the website.
Yep.
It's over at swishgaming.com for those that haven't been a part of it. I would definitely go check it out. Me and Steven at least are posting videos regularly. We play a lot of brews that people send us. We play tier decks. We play arena, standard, modern, moto, like all of it. Yep. Yeah, it's been a good time.
For sure.
I know for team-wise, tournaments coming up. I know I'm going to be doing like a bunch of the LCQs myself. You're doing some.
I'm probably doing the Lotus Box Legacy thing this weekend just to play it. Like, it's kind of a wash for me at this point because they only count 3 of the 4. But
yeah, Steven is
I probably just want to play it, so I'll just find a deck and pick it up and give it a run.
Yep. But what's your thoughts on the Lotus Box Envy?
I'm excited. It'll be fun.
Excited. Don't want to talk too much about the format. I don't know if they announced it out there
yet. They haven't announced it.
So let's go ahead and keep that to ourselves. We'll keep it to ourselves. As you know, Steven got a message from some Lotus Box representatives about the Invitational since he's locked to be in it.
Yep.
We'll talking about the formats. We're going to wait till they announce it before we talk too much about it because, it's just the right thing to do.
Either way, though, really exciting. And,
it should be a good time.
I'm really happy to be a part of that. So.
I'm probably going to do either tomorrow night or Friday. Wait, what is today?
I don't know.
Is it Friday?
This is part of the quarantine life.
Yeah, it's quarantine. Okay, it's Thursday. It's Thursday when we're recording this. I had to double check.
All right.
Probably either later today on Thursday night I'll do another LCQ, or I'll wait till tomorrow and do an LCQ. Haven't fully decided yet. I'm not really grinding ladder. That's not like my intention at all. Maybe we'll start dipping some toes in the historic in the next few days.
Yeah, we can play ladder on there too. We can try and, maybe we can make that some segments. Like, I know some people do like bronze to mythic or whatever. We can just try and level up in a video or whatever, and see if
maybe we'll do some stuff. We'll mess around with. It's a little hard with notice everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll do something to that format by the time we do videos in that format. Hopefully,
right? Possibly
a few days away. So
like I said, to close this up, we'll talk about what we're going to be covering next week. Like I said, on Monday we're going to do a preview, not a preview, but a recap of what the ban list says.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
that'll be very interesting.
We'll talk about some deck lists that we're gonna personally be touching, and what we think other people should be doing. We'll be getting ready for some LCQs next week, so we'll be talking about those. LCQs go. We'll cover Steven's Legacy tournament. He's doing the Legacy Lotus Box event, so we'll talk about a little bit about what he did. And then I think we're going to do some deep dives into some actual formats. Since we talked about the bands, we'll talk about actually some decks. Is there anything that you were thinking of talking about? Like,
no, not specifically. I think this is about it for this podcast.
Well, yeah, no, I'll talk about for the next one. They'll usually for the next one.
I'm sorry, I kind of zoned out a little bit there.
No, you're good. You're good.
For the next one, I mean, I don't know. We'll see when we get there.
Yeah, but I know we're going to be covering.
There's going to be a ton to talk about after the bannings, and there'll be new deck ideas. I think the next few days, if we want to do a video again, Modern might be the natural format to play, just because that's the one that's not going to change.
Or Pioneer,
Pioneer too.
Yeah.
But standard and historic, we probably want to wait until after the bannings to do videos there, just because format's going to change. So less relevant to do that now. But there are some really, really cool decks. The Golostron deck.
Yeah, that Golostron deck
looks sick.
I think tomorrow we'll do actually some videos of that. That sounds really like a good time, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, the next podcast, like I said, I'll be looking forward to our band recap. Because there is something coming. Like we don't know what it is, but the storms are brewing.
Yep, something's gonna go, and hopefully something's gonna go. Yep. But something will change nonetheless. And
or maybe we'll see Oko return. Who knows?
Oh boy, yeah,
I doubt it. But no, again, this has been Larry along with Steven. We're here talking Swish. If you want to see any of our videos or listen to these future podcasts, hit that subscribe button below. There's going to be a little alert icon next to it. It's a little bell. Hit that if you want to get notifications when we go ahead and have these uploaded. We try to upload them as frequently as possible. We'll be doing these episodes once a week for the foreseeable future. They're also going to be found on the Swish Gaming website. But until next time, stay safe out there. Enjoy your quarantine.
Yep. See you next time.